record. Hello everyone, welcome Christiana to our assessment number 2, group-led presentation in management and business context, MGMT20144. Our group is a group of 5, starting with Daya from Cambodia, Alice from China, here we have Agatha from Poland, Amanpreet from India, and myself, Katarina, from Germany. Our presentation is going to be about the analysis of advantages and disadvantages of globalization in the context of contemporary organizations, a proposal of solutions for managing globalization-induced challenges. The presentation focuses on globalization as a process for changes of different aspects. Firstly, Agatha will talk about globalization and its dimensions. After that, we will illuminate advantages and disadvantages in context with contemporary organizations. The first advantage is the economic growth and will be presented by myself. The second advantage will be discussed by Agatha again, and it's the technological development and innovation. After the 2 examples of advantages, we're going to focus on the disadvantages of globalization. Daya will talk about the threat to small and local organizations, followed by Amanpreet with the topic economic inequality. After the examples, Alice will give a solution approach, followed by Daya again with a conclusion. I will pass on to the topic globalization and its dimensions to Agatha.
Thank you, Katrina. Globalization is the new world's economic system. It's a phenomenon that affects people all around the world, and despite its great significance, it is yet to be completely understood and analyzed. Its complexity led to many discussions, especially around growth, equality, and employment. However vague, the term always resonates around internationalization of technology, trade liberalization, and the connection between those 2. For the purpose of our discussion, we will adopt the definition coined by the World Bank, according to which globalization is the growing integration of economies and societies all around the world. I will pass on to Katrina now to discuss the first advantage of globalization.
Yes, the first advantage I want to talk about in context of globalization and contemporary organizations is the economic benefit, such as an increase of turnover or profit in general. Economic growth can be the consequence of globalization through the right handling. Globalization is a complex phenomenon and brings substantial changes into the world, such as the change into the Western world or a focus on the USA. Multinational concerns profit out of globalization strategies. The strategy is using economically attractive countries to reduce the company's costs and to get more benefit out of it. An example for the economic growth is the gross domestic product of the world merchandise export has increased. As you can see in the table, in 1820, the percentage of the GDP was only 1%. In 1998, it was 70.2%. And finally, in 2016, it was already 50.03%. Small and medium-sized enterprises are under pressure, and Daya will talk about that later on as well, when it comes to the competition with big concerns. My example I found in the literature is Zara. The development went in the last 30 years from a local manufacturer to a multinational concern, listed as one of the top 100 brands worldwide. Zara is actually a Spanish company or brand, but doesn't identify itself with a specific country and sells global and fast fashion. In 2008, the company had a turnover of over 10 million euros with a profit of more than 1 million euros. Globalization brings the advantage of an internet improvement of the profit to international companies. It makes rich companies even richer and creates a flat playing field for multinational organizations. I will pass on to the next speaker with another example of the advantage of globalization.
Apart from influencing economic growth, globalization is a major driving force for innovation. In essence, globalization increases competitiveness and forces businesses to adopt innovative strategies and solutions to gain competitive advantage. In other words, increasing competitiveness implies economic change through the introduction of new technologies, methods of production, and development of new skills. Innovation is the very core of this process. However, it is important to develop innovative solutions by adopting sustainable practices. The companies and customers are now voting with their purchases, and it's important to think about the economic footprint. The social attitudes around the world are leaning towards environmental change and sustainable solutions. Basic requirements of sustainable innovation are as follows. Value proposition needs to be established with consideration of the so-called triple bottom line, which is economic, ecological, and social needs that has to be considered. Engaging responsible suppliers into sustainable supply chain management, motivating customers to take responsibility for their consumption, and distributing costs and benefits accurately. Sustainable innovation benefits not only the companies, but the environment. In this way, contemporary organizations can improve their brand image. Uber is a great example of adopting sustainable innovation. By reducing capital and HR expenditures, adopting low-cost structure, and providing flexible employment, this on-demand taxi service answered the rising demand for convenience, comfort, and cost saving for the customers. Focusing solely on the customer's demands, not on the competition or the industry as a whole, proved to be an effective strategy for Uber. Sustainable principles are also implementing by encouraging customers to share their rights and adopting green initiative programs, like, for example, adopting Clean Air program in the United Kingdom. By putting other taxi services under serious competitive pressure, Uber proved that sustainable innovation does in fact pay off. I will pass on to Daya, who will describe the first disadvantage of globalization.
Thank you, Kata and Agatha discuss about the advantage of globalization. Now I would like to discuss about the disadvantage of globalization on the small and medium enterprises. First of all, traditionally, small and medium enterprises' strength are making decisions and ensuring that their product and services are high quality and also meet customer satisfaction and expectation. However, we found that they are lacking in the ability in the area of marketing, generating capital, technology, sustainable supply chain management, and also financial support. As a result, this is difficult for local small medium enterprises to success, and they also facing the common problem such as increasing barrier to entry into a global value chains. In particular, it is very high risk for them to introduce their production into the global market in terms of output and also employment, export their product, and in general, it affects the global GDP as well. Next slide, I would like to focus on another issue is when the big corporation or multinational company trying to improve their company at the same time. They are always needs to improve their employment standard, modern and also modern management strategy. Therefore, they always needs to seek for a highly skilled migrant worker. So I found that this is a very high, significant negative impact on the local economy, as we found that the local workers will lose their job due to the competition from the migrant worker, and local small business and medium enterprises also lost their skilled worker due to the weakening of wage bargaining power. So it's really hard for them to compete with the big enterprises. Next, I will pass to Amanpreet. She will discuss about the globalization and the income inequality.
Thank you. Now I will discuss with you the disadvantages of globalization, that is income inequality. Hypothetically, in a perfect world, each and every nation would have an equal chance to develop individually and collectively. That was the main premise of the globalization. The today world is in fact regarded as a global village. In the contemporary world, not only the people but also the countries are divided into haves and have-nots. The income disparity between a fifth of the world population who live in the richest country and a fifth who live in the poorest country was 30 to 1 ratio in 1960, and it had grown in 1997 to 74 to 1. Next, I will discuss with you the graph. There are several countries that are developed with respect to economic conditions of people, whereas the others face absolute poverty. The graph gives an insight in the income inequality. The graph indicates the income inequality increased in advanced economies with the advent of globalization, whereas for emerging ones, it did not have a significant impact. The distinction between poor and rich countries has lead to control of global matters in the hands of the developed nations. That they are able to dominate the global issues and possession of global resources is unequal. As a result, the interests of poor are neglected. Even the international organizations with a common motive of global welfare have been considered helpless, as they either fail to fulfill the needs of the needed section or they themselves are regulated and monitored by the rich countries. In order to alleviate these inequalities, the international organizations and developed nations to seek into the matters of underdeveloped nations to see how global equality and rather than standardize the lifestyle of the people is brought in place so that the interests of humanity are not jeopardized and sustainable development is achieved. Next one is Alice.
And change to the recommendations about the disadvantage of globalization, not only implementing ICT revolution to meet catch-up effect, that to international harmonization and the measures of the ICT revolution as well, but also innovative new ecological can reduce the gap between the developing culture and the developed nation to raising the new productives, and it can following the product human capital formation as well to to meet this disadvantage. And on the other hand, employees will possess high level empowerment and culture within the freedom of exporting new product in order to achieve long-term sustainability, and also the foster innovation for small business to realize on the freedom and to do the quick decision to make within a clear goal and good communication. It's also to ensure the high quality products and service also need to maybe pay more attention to from the managers to achieve the disadvantage to to become over. And for my examples, Airbnb is an international and successful example achieved the sharing economy with an innovative ecology in the competitive global marketing. From 2008, Airbnb has now expanded into over 34,000 cities across 191 countries, and it is also a leader of the home sharing service that provides hostel and breakfast as well. So it can achieve the home sharing service. And now I pass to Daya to the conclusion.
Thank you, Alice. Now I would like to jump to conclusion. As we all understand what is the definition of globalization, we summarize that globalization is an advancement of technology and also trading globally, and due to the company globalization, there are one of two positive impact on economy. First, it was the economic growth and also increase the world GDP, and the second positive impact is new advance to the technology, and there are two negative impacts. The first one is a pressure on the small and medium enterprises, and we found the second negative impact was income inequality, and our recommendation was to implement the capital service, and we recommend that the small and medium enterprises should focus on the external environment in order for them to compete with the global market, and also having a clear and concise communication between business so they might be able to introduce themselves to the international competition. Our last two slides is the references list that we have been put together, and we would like to thank you for your time for listening to us.
Thank you.